Today, the most widespread human exposures to mercury are from silvery amalgam tooth fillings, the thimerosal ethyl mercury in certain vaccines, and the methyl mercury, mostly from eating fish. I talked about the mercury in vaccines compared to that of fish. What about the amalgam fillings? Every time most of us bite down, a small amount of mercury is released, and by most, I mean like 60% of Americans. About 91 million adults in the United States have at least one amalgam filling. Based on the number of fillings, about 86 million Americans exceed the California Environmental Protection Agency's safety limit for daily exposure to mercury vapor, and about 16 million people blow past the more relaxed safety limit from the national EPA. So in 2020, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration recommended that certain high-risk groups should not get amalgam fillings. This includes children and women who are even just planning on getting pregnant. The FDA is not recommending anyone remove existing amalgam fillings, though, because when you try to get them out, you get a spike in mercury release, despite all feasible controls that have been used to minimize mercury exposure. Thankfully, amalgam use has recently dropped by 73%, but most people continue to eat fish. In children, fish consumption frequency was the most robust predictor of high mercury levels growing out in their hair, rather than the number of mercury-containing fillings. Even among dentists, mercury concentrations in hair and blood were largely explained by fish consumption, rather than the number of amalgams they worked with weekly. The measured levels of amalgam-derived mercury in brain, blood, and urine are shown to be consistent with absorbing about 2 micrograms a day. That's high enough that the FDA is like, maybe kids and women who want to have kids shouldn't get them. But a single can of tuna has 60 micrograms. Sadly, the amount of mercury in tuna hasn't changed much over the last half-century, so having amalgam fillings is like eating 1 can of tuna every 2 months. There have been more than 100 risk-benefit analyses published on fish and other seafood, looking at the nutrient versus contaminant trade-offs. Fish consumption provides nutrients, but all fish also provide methylmercury, a known neurotoxin. Mercury may be a cardiovascular toxin as well, which may explain why there's been a failure to consistently observe beneficial effects of fish consumption. Sure, dietary exposure to mercury may harm child development, but if we cut down on fish, the argument goes, we could get fewer omega-3s. So researchers get out their calculators and figured that in a city about the size of New York, if pregnant mothers ate lots of fish, because omega-3s like DHA are so beneficial to brain development, we would expect to see an improvement in 209,000 years of children's lives, what are called quality-adjusted life years. But at the same time, the mercury in that very same fish would damage 203,000 of children's life years. So they do the math, and it comes out positive by a hair, and we hear on the news, such and such medical authority says the benefits outweigh the risks, eat fish. Now, this does not take into account the dioxins, the PCBs, and the other contaminants that may tip the scale away from eating fish, but more importantly, why accept any risk at all? By getting DHA from pollutant-free sources, we can get all the benefit with none of the risks, all the benefit without the hundreds of thousands of life years of brain damage. This is like when reviews on dairy conclude milk does more good than harm, in part because of all the calcium, despite links to diseases like Parkinson's and prostate cancer, as if the only source of calcium on the planet were dairy. Where do you think the cows get calcium in the first place? From plants. And the same with omega-3s like DHA. Where do you think the fish get it? Plants. And we can too, tiny little plants called microalgae, and we can skip the middle fish and get it mercury-free from algae-based supplements.